Warning, what you're about to hear may contain mature language, adult situations, and depictions of graphic violence. Listener discretion is advised.
This garbage isn't headed for a landfill. It's going 6 feet under, along
That's right.
with you and all your
It's just
friends.
me shooting a bag of trash for 2 hours, reloading and shooting it some more.
Did you see Doctor Strange?
The new one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it on Saturday. That's when I hurt my back.
Oh, yeah. It's because it's a cursed movie.
I guess.
That
Did you see
thing
it?
sucks. It was
Yeah, it
like
wasn't
the
crazy.
least interested I've been in a movie since the first Doctor Strange.
Okay, I actually really like the first Doctor Strange a lot.
Why
That's one
does
of my
everyone
favorite.
keep saying that?
I like that one. That's one of my favorite of the this batch of Marvel movies.
Weird. I find Benedict Cumberbatch to be so unlikable. He is like he's like David in Prometheus and Covenant. He's like
Yes.
a robot pretending to be a guy.
Yes.
But then
correct.
that guy is pretending to be Doctor Strange, who is also just Tony Stark adjacent.
It's Tony Stark with magic.
Yeah.
Instead of alcohol.
And he's just like so lifeless behind his eyes. I just can't give a crap about anything that he says.
I don't know. I like it. But yes, this was not my favorite of the I didn't hate it by any means. Francis leaned over to me like early in the movie and was like, "This isn't very good." I'm like, "No." And then like something stupid happened, and at that point it's just like, "You know what? This movie's stupid." And I accept it, and I enjoyed it a lot more from that point out.
They already
It's
lost me because they started talking about things that happened in the fucking WandaVision show. They do that in comics, and it's a sales tactic, right? So they'll
Right.
tell a story, and it'll be like, this Spider-Man storyline is occurring in Web of Spider-Man, but also Spectacular Spider-Man. And if you
Right.
don't pick up that issue, these characters are going to be talking about something that happened in that issue. And I was like, well, fuck this. This is a movie.
Right. Well, at this point, yeah, it's the same thing. If you haven't watched all of these, you can't understand what's happening in any of them.
And then even What If, like, because they had characters from the What If show, like the alternate version of Captain America or whatever.
Yeah, I mean they did that. So I watched some of What If, and it wasn't very good, so I didn't watch it. And I was like, I don't really think this stuff is going to be important. And really, like, there's the ones I saw of the What Ifs that I saw that where they did stuff in this movie, and I was like, oh, you don't actually need to have watched it. That's one thing you don't actually need to have
No.
watched. It's just like an extra wink type of
Yeah.
thing. But this, yeah, it certainly did not deliver on the title of the Multiverse of Madness because there wasn't really any madness going on.
No, there was that one cool scene where they like hopped through all the different dimensions.
Right, they go to like 2 worlds. That's it.
Yeah. And then they do the thing with his face where it comes apart, which was super cool. And then nothing else like that happens.
Yeah, and it was like one thing I like about Doctor Strange in the comic books and in the movies, whether it be his own movie or when he appears in other people's movies, is that since he's a magician, it's not just like a fist fight, you know? Generally, like, there'll be some of that in there, but he'll also be like, I'm using magic in a creative way to trick my opponent. And that was not happening in this movie. It was just like magic swords and magic whips, which are in the other ones too, but it was just like, that was the only thing was magic swords and magic whips, except maybe a little bit that like musical note fight, which was kind of fun, but...
That was fun. I don't know that it made any fucking sense in this movie.
It didn't. Well, it just didn't fill into its potential. It was like, okay, you should have gone a little bit more with this and a little less with the whips, but they just could. They had to get back to those whips.
Was there a reason for it? Was there anything? Does Doctor Strange play the piano or some shit?
I don't like it. I don't think so.
Okay, I was like, I felt like I was missing something. I was like,
No.
was I supposed to remember this? Is this a callback to something? I have no idea.
No. Also, the cameos. I was like, who cares? Because I guess the one like big one was Professor X, but they already spoiled that in the trailer.
Well, that's the
And
thing
that-
is this wasn't even like they didn't even like really set up like say like, oh, we're gonna be merging the universes and like
Right, which is I thought was like obviously going to be like the point of this one.
yeah.
I don't know. It was bizarre. And then like, oh, Black Bolt. Who cares? Like, here's the big reveal of Black Bolt. Like, nobody gives a shit.
No, the Inhumans suck. And
Yeah.
that was the guy from the show, I guess.
Right.
But
Which then nobody watched. You know, like I didn't watch it because
no, the
now
Inhumans have always been stupid. Like, that's what I keep telling everyone. I'm like, they're into the lame shit. Like, and they're trying so hard to make it cool and interesting. And in some comics are a unique medium in that you can take like lame ass characters and like put a new spin or freshen them up or
Right.
do something different, and they can be cool. But like, it's not working here.
yeah, I would say like the output since like the end of phase whatever, the end of like, you know, Infinity War and Endgame, the output has been pretty like 50-50. Like some of the movies I've liked a lot and some of them I've really disliked. Same with the shows. But, you know, I felt like when they first started these, like the very first movies, like, you know, Iron Man and Captain America and Thor, that they were really like spotty as well. That they'd have like, oh, that one was good, and then like 3 that were terrible before they really figured out what they're doing. So maybe that's the case here.
They were all Thor movies. All the Thor movies were terrible.
Ragnarok was good. I liked Ragnarok.
Even Captain America now is like the middle, like Civil War era Captain America started to be cool and interesting, but like the OG Captain America it's been long enough now that it doesn't seem fresh anymore. Now it's like back to being corny and like pretty stupid.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it was them it took them a little bit to figure out what they were doing with those characters, so maybe it'll take a minute to figure out what they're doing with this new batch of characters. Who knows?
We'll see.
You know? I just hope John Krasinski doesn't come back as Mr. Fantastic.
Oh boy, was he lifeless. They could have put a fucking beard on a dead fish and it would have acted on the same level.
Well, it's like when I saw him, like when I first saw him like pop in there, and I was just like, oh my God, because I was just like, yeah, I'm sure he's a perfectly fine Reed Richards or whatever, but it's like, think about the most uninspired choice that you could get. You know.
Oh, I love that
character.
was a huge like fantasy casting. Like all the people online were like, "Oh my God, we want him so bad."
You know why?
Then they put him in there and immediately kill him.
That's because fan casting is fucking terrible, and it's always terrible.
Yeah.
Because fan casting, it's always the least creative choices. It's like, well, this actor has blonde hair, and the comic book character has blonde hair. He's the perfect choice, even though that you can dye their hair or just have them have a different color hair, and that's not really the defining characteristic of most superhero characters or characters in general.
Yeah.
You know, and then fans are also always like upset about, you know, interesting casting choices until the movie comes out, you know?
Yeah.
Like, fuck Michael Keaton. Oh, the best Batman ever. Fuck Heath Ledger. Oh, no one can touch his Joker. Fuck this. You know, fuck that. Fuck, you know. And then they're always like amazed when, oh, wait, they chose and it made an interesting choice that actually maybe the character doesn't look so much like he does in the comic books, but captures the spirit and blah, blah, blah. And it actually ends up working really, really, really good. Seriously, if fans casted every like superhero movie, they would be the worst movies ever.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it would all be like stupid big stars.
I'm hoping that they did that fan casting of John Krasinski to like appease fans and then get him out of the way.
Yeah, if they proceed with him as our universe's Reed Richards, it's going to be really stupid.
Which I don't think they will, and particularly if you look at the way that scene is set up. Who did they kill off? They killed off everybody in that scene, but they killed off like these like, you know, what if versions from the cartoon. Black Bolt. The big kill was Professor X, which they're definitely bringing the X-Men in, but I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they would bring Patrick Stewart in as to continue as, because he's like 90 years old, and they're gonna want to do these movies for like 10, 15 years. You know?
It's gonna be the First Class or whichever team was in the fucking Phoenix movie.
Yeah, or just like not even those guys at all.
Yeah, maybe a totally new one.
That's what I would hope, and I hope that to me that kind of signaled that it was like, oh, there's all these characters, but nobody's safe, you know, type of thing, and ceremoniously gave Professor Xavier a death in this universe to pave the way for the next Professor X, and I think that'll be the case with Reed Richards.
I did really like that scene though, like Wanda coming in there with like the Carrie style blood streaming down her face, and then
Oh yeah.
just murders everybody. That was good
Oh,
stuff.
and like yeah, and the way she killed Black Bolt was really cool.
Oh yeah.
This is just head caves in, collapsing and implodes.
No, there's like
I
a
did-
handful of scenes and moments that were pretty cool, but yeah, for the most
Right.
part, it was just like, all right, who cares?
It definitely felt like a transitional movie too, where it's like placed in there to establish tone for or ideas for like you said. It wasn't like they didn't actually bring in all these other characters and transpose them into the current universe, but it's just they brought in the plot device of other characters from other universes can come in and whatnot. So
Yeah, and having this vehicle
right,
of
this
like,
whole the whole
here's,
movie
here's
was
how we can reliably start unlocking all these other parallel
Right.
universes.
I also saw this weekend though The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, and that was great.
It was weird. I feel like halfway through it, probably like just kind of blows the concept
No, it
based
gets
on
better.
the trailer.
The trailer kind of like portrays it as being more of an action movie and more of a comedy than it is, which it is both of those things, but it's not like as zany of a concept. It's not as zany of a movie as the trailer makes it out to be.
Yeah. I got the impression that it was like, oh, once they start to get into the like police activity portion of it, it like is just sort of paint by numbers.
I mean, yes, to a certain degree that exists, but like I said, it like it that exists kind of like very self-aware in a very self-aware way, that like it knows that it's going paint by numbers when it does type of thing, and like kind of playing with those expectations, sort of.
That's cool.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'll give it a watch when it hits the television.
Oh yeah.
I was kind of mad at after going to the theater for Doctor Strange. I was like, this is it. This is what we're doing here.
Right, like you're going for this, like, oh, my big movie, and it's like, There's a lot of Sam Raimi movies that are good, and there's a lot that are bad, and he just doesn't have, I think, the best job at balancing tone a lot of the time, and he couldn't like kind of match his style and to what the universe, like the Marvel universe, cinematic universe, is already established.
Well, that's the thing too. Is like they didn't give him the sort of the room, I would imagine, that he had on like say Spider-Man.
Right.
So it's like they're like, here's how we're already doing things. Like you can do some of what you want, but mostly like we just need you to stick to what we already got going here.
Which, I mean, if you go into the job with that notion, like someone who is good at balancing tone should be able to marry their style with the current like universe,
Yeah. If you look at his movies, like Quick and the Dead and Darkman, movies that are like his, they're great.
I do not like Darkman. I think it's one of the most overrated nerd piles there is. Sorry.
I mean, I don't think it's brilliant, but like it's cool and gross and the action's really good. What more do you want?
Let me put it this way. Like, I think there are some fun bits to it. There's some fun in it, and it's, not like, it's not garbage, but I think it's like a movie that nerds jerk off onto like really hard.
What, like RoboCop?
I'm not saying that like nerds can't jerk off onto things, but it's just like sometimes it's just like, okay, like you've jerked off enough for today. Like 5 times is enough. It's time to tone it down.
I feel the same way about RoboCop, and I love that movie.
I mean, there perhaps is an amount where where it is, praised, to such a degree that it's like there are other good movies out there, but I don't think that it's just inherently elevated to much higher stature than it has any right to be,
Yeah, people talk about RoboCop like it's this, like it was composed by fucking Amadeus, and
right. That's how they talk about RoboCop.
It's,
and they
it's
talk
good,
about
and it is smart, but it's also heavy-handed in its
Oh, yeah.
satire. Like, if you want like the most blatant, obvious examples of satire that a 5-year-old could understand,
right.
it's in that movie.
Correct.
It's not exactly subtle.
No. But yes, so you're absolutely right that they talk about RoboCop like you said, composed by like Amadeus Mozart. But they talk about Darkman like it's Robocop.
I don't think anyone does. I think people just like it.
Your mom does.
Yeah. I like this one of the sequels. One of the sequels is pretty cool. Of
To
Darkman.
Robocop or to Darkman? I have not seen any of the sequels. You can't get Liam back. You ain't getting Green Stir back.
It's wild how much of a difference Arnold Vosloo makes in that role. Like, it's such a odd departure, and it completely changes that. Like, Sam Raimi's version is like spot on as far as like, what if the Universal monsters birthed a modern superhero? Right? He's like a cross between Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and the Invisible Man almost.
Yes.
Which is cool. And he literally he made it because he couldn't get the rights to the Shadow.
Right.
Which is a fucking stupid ass superhero or comic book character.
It's a stupid movie, that's for sure.
It's literally a drug addicted rich guy. Like, he's obviously a Batman adjacent, but like he's like hooked on opium or something, or like magic.
So he's just Johnny Depp.
Magic peyote or something, and he's like, oh, when I go fight crime, I get a big honking nose. So stupid. I love how it's the inverse of Batman's mask too. Like, he has the scarf that covers his lower face, but his eyes and his nose and his hair revealed. The most like significant like identifier.
Well, that's why he has to use hypnotism to change his face.
Yeah.
So at that point, he could just change his entire face. He doesn't have to cover all of it.
He's working so hard.
I mean, he can also be invisible and just a shadow as well. So I don't. He doesn't even need all that other stuff. I mean, none of these movies hold a candle to Brainscan. So